with Money Daily. Let's now turn to the airlines industry, which has been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, a lot of airlines have been left out of business due to border closures and COVID-19 guidelines put in place to curb the spread of the coronavirus. In fact, IATA says and estimates that the global cash burn for the world's airlines will be in the range of $75 billion to $95 billion this year. They say there has already been a weak start in 2021. In Africa, several airlines are now turning to cargo. Ethiopian Airlines head of cargo services said the airline expects the prevailing level of demand for its services to last up to 3 years. According to IATA, again, cargo demand saw by 22.4% compared to the same month in 2019, eclipsing the 6.3% year-over-year increase for December 2020. On the flip side, though, some airlines are expanding to more markets. Uganda Airlines is the latest to secure a morning landing slot at Heathrow, expanding its wings outside the continent. Which brings us to the conversation with Hassani, joining us from the National Aviation Services. Hassani, now, several airlines in Africa are still operating in losses, with just a handful, making a profit, like Ethiopian. What could be the missing link, and what could these airlines not be seeing or, missing?
Hello, Maggie. Thank you very much for having me on the show. I think the secret recipe is governance. Ethiopian Airlines is one of the airlines across the continent which have the board is independent from the politics of the day, independent from the political whims of the government, and they run very technically as it should be. Fortunately, are an extension of the government and therefore subject to the politics, which some days are in the airline's favor and other days they're not. The key, therefore, is in proper governance.
Does that mean that there's need to privatize airlines across the continent?
I think the way to go is public-private partnerships, not just in airlines, but also in airports, in cargo handling, in fueling, in catering. The entire aviation sector, in my view, can do with better and more widespread public-private partnerships.
Yeah, now flying across Africa as well as associated services remain extremely very high. How can we work to reduce the costs?
Maggie, prior to COVID, I used to travel across the continent all the time. And I used to struggle traveling from Abidjan, for example, which is a hub in West Africa, to, for example, Dar es Salaam, which is a hub in East Africa. The best way for me to travel from those two cities was to go to Istanbul or go to Dubai and then travel across. In my view, you need to do three things. The first one is liberalize the sector. The second one is we need better visa facilitation. Visas are extremely difficult for Africans in their own continent. And third, I think we need to encourage more low-cost carriers. Across the world, low-cost carriers make up about 25% of the flights, but in Africa, they only make up about 10% of flights.
Hassan, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We'll continue that conversation definitely very soon.